President Joe Biden on Thursday stressed the strength of America's economic growth in a bid to sway 19 Asia-Pacific economies to partner with the United States, as China's leader did the same at this week's gathering of Asian leaders and powerful CEOs. The business world is asking, why not both? VOA's Anita Powell reports from San Francisco.
For these 19 Pacific and Asian economies in the orbit of the U.S. and China, the APEC summit is a chance to watch those nations' top two salesmen make their pitch. And pitch they did, with summit host President Joe Biden on Thursday touting his nation's brisk economic growth to CEOs, a not-so-subtle jab at China's sluggish growth, and the results when governments partner with the U.S.
For decades, America's enduring commitment to the region has been a springboard that's enabled growth, transformative growth, ensured the open flow of commerce, lifted millions of people out of poverty. Today, that relationship goes both ways. The United States remains vital to the future of the region, and the region is more vital than ever to the United States of America.
Chinese President Xi Jinping reminded each delegation he met with of China's status as a major trading partner, assuring them he has no desire to fight a war and soothing investors' concerns amid Beijing's tightening security rules and growing military ambitions.
China has no intention to challenge or replace the U.S. Instead, we are glad to see a confident, open and prosperous U.S. Likewise, the U.S. should not bet against China or interfere in Chinese internal affairs.
The business world is watching these campaigns and asking, why not have both?
Decoupling of the world's dominant economies is neither possible nor is it prudent. De-risking, or we prefer to call it diversification, has to become the name of the game. We are far better served, in fact, we are best served, if we focus on fostering inter- and interregional collaboration.
And business leaders in the Asia-Pacific say they've benefited from competition between the two superpowers. The head of Malaysia's American Chamber of Commerce told VOA that the workforce's dynamism and English skills has led to growth in many fields: semiconductors, medical devices and technology, and more.
I think it's very positive. We're seeing a lot more growth from different sectors, and Malaysia's being looked at for different strengths that we didn't even realize we had.
Asia analysts say the dynamic in the region is not likely to radically or quickly change.
I think the Biden arguments are probably the ones that are more likely to carry the day. But of course, as we saw from so many business leaders meeting with Xi Jinping, China is still an important market, and for some of those businesses, an important production hub, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Also Thursday, Biden launched a 14-country economic framework that aims to sweeten the deal. While he acknowledged that the Indo-Pacific economic framework is not quite complete, negotiators failed to reach consensus on the crucial trade pillar. In praising the plan, he brought up one area where the U.S. outshines all competition: its huge capacity for private, not government, investment. Anita Powell, VOA News, San Francisco.
Joining us live from San Francisco, California, is VOA's Jessica Stone. Hi, Jessica. President Biden is expected to hold a retreat for APEC leaders today, but this week, member nations of his Pacific Rim trade framework fell short of finalizing an agreement on trade and market access as well. Can you talk about that for us?
Absolutely. Well, the agreement never really actually had market access, but as Anita Powell reported there, the trade pillar was one of 4 pillars that was being negotiated. And up until just a couple of days before this summit, we thought there would be some more progress, perhaps even an announcement on that. This is all part of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which is Biden's answer essentially to the TPP, which of course propelled Donald Trump took us out of the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. That was a market access agreement. But why no progress on the trade pillar here? Well, President Biden getting pressure from his left flank. Democrats on the left, including Sherrod Brown of of Ohio, which is, of course, a heavy manufacturing state, believing that he could potentially lose election, and he warning the president that he too could face a loss of votes in his own presidential election, and other Democrats have followed suit. So they are concerned that if there were a trade pillar that was negotiated and passed while the president is running for office, that it could siphon votes away from him because the Republicans could paint him as exporting jobs overseas. And remember, this narrative is not totally far-fetched, because getting out of the TPP was a promise Donald Trump made on the campaign trail, led in part to his election in 2016. And many believe in the trade community, especially in the Democratic Party, that it also cost Hillary Clinton her run for the White House that same year.
You know, the main event of this APEC summit has been the face-to-face meeting between President Biden and his Chinese counterpart, Xi. Most of their talks were behind closed doors. But since Xi left, what have we learned since that meeting? And what does it mean for not only U.S.-Sino relations, but the world?
Well, you know, since that meeting, we've had a chance at VOA to talk to analysts and, of course, to hear from the business community. Spent the day yesterday at the APEC CEO Summit, which is a sideline event side by side with the Leaders Summit. And analysts have told VOA that both Biden and Xi have appeared to really de-escalate tensions. And, of course, the business community is quite happy about that. Observers saying Xi has taken a less confrontational tone in his public remarks, saying China would, quote, be a friend and a good partner to American business. That, of course, music to the ears of the CEOs, who have been very concerned that they would they don't see that they have a good business environment in China, Susan, and they also are concerned about raids in their offices and things of that nature. Another example, in the official readout, Xi said China has no plans to replace the United States as a global power. And that's a real contrast to previous comments he's made, where he said the East is rising and the West is declining. On Biden's side, going into the meeting, he did not seek additional funding in the last round of congressional funding for Taiwan arms sales. That, too, was seen as a sort of a smoothing of the way into this summit and a good message to send to business. The Chinese Foreign Ministry readout saying that Xi blames export controls for, quote, curbing China's development. And, of course, we know that the Chinese economy is faltering. It is slowing down. There's high youth unemployment. These are all factors that have inspired a more conciliatory tone on the part of President Xi. One thing that's really important, of course, for the business community as well is the remarks and the conversation around Taiwan. Taiwan produces 60% of the world's semiconductors, 90% of the advanced semiconductors. We all use those, as we talk about regularly on this show. And China considers Taiwan a self-governing island. The conversation around that really returned us to a place of a little bit more stability, where the Chinese saying we don't plan to make a move imminently on Taiwan, and that the the United States saying, well, listen, we still want to pursue stability in the region. The U.S. does not, of course, support reunification by force in Taiwan. Susan?